Can you please state your name for the record?
Johnny Scott Brown.
Okay. And were you aware of the Clary video? I'm going to cut to the chase. When did you first become aware of the Clary video?
That morning during briefing.
Okay, so you knew the Clary video existed even though...
No, I didn't know it existed. I knew who had what and what was being reported to me by, at the time, my lieutenant, who was Gary Beasley. He's the one that offered the initial briefing of what had occurred, and they caught me up to speed. And part of that briefing included a section of what we got from Lieutenant Clary.
And were you aware of a body cam video at that time?
No, I did. I was told he didn't have one.
So you were told by, not from Albert Paxton, from somebody else that he did not...
I was told by Lieutenant Gary Beasley, who was my direct supervisor at the time, and the case agent was Investigator Jerry Spencer. Those are the two that came to me, and we talked about the case that morning, and that was what they represented to me, was that Lieutenant Clary had a dash cam, which basically showed his drive up there, and therefore didn't really have any relevant information, but we had that, but that he did not have any body cam.
And after, so some time goes by, when are you first made aware that there's another video, that the Clary video exists?
I didn't until Albert Paxton told me after a conversation he had with Scott Davis, so it was whatever time that was on his timeline.
Okay, so that's when you first become aware of the Clary video.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any conversations with anybody about how to handle this new evidence that's come to light?
Well, the first thing that popped in my mind is I wanted to make sure that Mr. Belton, who was the state prosecutor, and the FBI had a copy of it. I assumed because, I was aggravated that I didn't have it, but I also knew that we were under subpoena to make sure that the Department of Justice had copies of all the files, which we had provided our file, but just minus the video, so obviously I didn't want them thinking that we were trying to short them. And then I contacted Mr. Belton personally and asked him about the Clary video.
Was he aware of the Clary video when you contacted him?
No, he did not know, and told me that he was not aware the Clary video existed and that he had never seen it.
Okay. And do you know what time frame this was when you contacted Mr. Belton?
It was the day, forgive me, I don't have Albert's timeline, but he does a great job of specifying the exact time it is. So if you have access to that, then you should have a date there.
So that's accurate to your recollection. Do you, at this point, what are your concerns at this point? I guess did you voice your concerns to anybody else in state police about about finding out about a video that's evidence after the fact?
Yes, sir.
And who'd you voice those concerns to?
Voiced it to the lieutenant colonel at the time, was Colonel Van Buren.
Okay. And what was the response from Colonel Van Buren?
Well, he wanted a meeting, and that's the meeting that Sergeant Paxton referred to, where he, myself, Captain Robert Bo Loomis, met with Colonels Cameron, Lieutenant Colonel Cameron, and Lieutenant Colonel Van Buren to discuss the case.
And what was the result of that meeting?
First, we viewed the video, and after we reviewed the new evidence, I made a suggestion to them of how I'd like for the thing to proceed, because Albert had already provided me the information, which in my opinion was supported by everyone else that worked for him. It wasn't just one detective. I had multiple detectives out there, and they all reported to me the same thing, that John Clary didn't have video. So to me, there was a violation there, and I was concerned that this video had never been provided to us. And also, at the time that I discovered the video, by now I had access to Axon. I didn't have it then, but now I did, and I logged in and actually looked at the audit trail. And I realized that this video was discovered within days and I was just so disappointed that no one had ever reached out to us and said, hey, we got evidence. I mean, we had provided the case file. Apparently nobody read the case file. Nobody looked into the attachments to see we didn't have it. And
do you think that's odd that nobody looked at the attachments to see if you had everything?
The entire case file, we place them, they're digital now, and we make them digital so we can share them with the different people that are going to want them. So you actually have to go into the attachments, but Albert would have listed in his case report the attachment number allowing someone to be able to go in and see what videos we had and what they didn't. And I've obviously heard testimony of people referring to the Clary video was mentioned in Albert's original report. Yeah, it was a dash cam video, which just showed a drive up to the scene and doesn't show anything. So that's the video that was being referenced.
So were you concerned about the statement that John Clary gave to Albert Paxton that he recorded at like around 4 o'clock in the morning? Was that statement concerning to you that it did not make any mention of a struggle?
Yes, I was concerned because it wasn't consistent with what's on the video. Now that we have his video, I can see what I see going on, and then I listen to what he says, and to me, it's not consistent.
Did you think Colonel Reeves took your concern seriously at that time?
Yes, I did. I think Kevin trusted my opinion, okay? But I think he also trusted the opinion of others. And I blame myself for not maybe pushing a little bit further.
When you find out there's another video, did you bring that information to Colonel Reeves saying, hey, we have another video that shows more stuff? Did you have that?
I don't think I actually brought that to his attention. They weren't here. They were gone when I found that video.
Who was gone?
The administration had changed, I believe, by the time Lieutenant Clary's video surfaced.
So now it's Colonel Davis is now in charge of state police by the time you're aware of it?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any conversations with Colonel Davis about the new video?
No, sir.
And you said you were frustrated and you were finding an opportunity to talk to Colonel Reeves because your superiors were not taking it seriously. Who are you referring to with your superiors?
Well, I'm not going to say they weren't taking it serious. They just weren't taking what I considered to be the advice that I was giving, which was we need to get out in front of this. I felt like criminal charges need to be filed. I felt like, similar to Scott, is that there was a wide range of charges that could be considered. And I felt like it was my job as a supervisor to make sure that my command staff knew the potential that was there. And the first video that came to my attention was the one that got leaked out where he calls his buddy up and starts bragging about what went on at the scene. So I already know just that video in itself. If I knew nothing else, I knew we had a public relations nightmare just with that one video and the fact that this video is going to be played at some point to the world.
It looks like you didn't say it, but you saw the Clary videos on April 12th, according to the logs, which would be 11 months after the incident.
Yes, sir. And just listening to the prior testimony, the dates that they give would be, because that's the two that actually provided me that information.
Got it. And it looks like in between or somewhere prior to that, the only people who, I'm just looking at one example, but looks like Scott Davis had viewed everything on the 15th. It also looks like not long before you viewed it in April of 21. I'm sorry, it's longer than I thought. Sergeant Ducote had viewed those videos in September of 20, and you finally saw them April 12th, 21.
Yes, sir. As I recall, looking at that log, it was apparent to me that Internal Affairs had viewed it. There was multiple people that had looked at the video from the log, as I recall, and which would have been consistent because of the Internal Affairs investigation. It was apparent they used that video.
But again, the video, I guess you're saying that Kevin Ducote is Internal Affairs? I don't know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The names that I seen all were linked to Internal Affairs.
But even his viewing of those videos, the Ducote video, the Clary videos, were, I don't know, a year and a half after the incident.
As I understand, that's the videos that they used in the initial Internal Affairs investigation. But, you know, I can't help but think, had I given in and not done it, that I'd be in jail right now. Because you just heard testimony from Scott Davis. He was already on to them. And I didn't even know Scott Davis existed. And we didn't. But I just wonder, had these friends of mine come to my rescue, had we not provided the videos, which we were told not to do, to Mr. Belton? And I know what the answer is. I'm satisfied with what we did. My guys aren't to blame for this. The reason I'm here is to defend my detectives. It wasn't just Albert Paxton who was a detective. I had 4 detectives out there that morning. Well, one of them was a lieutenant. He wouldn't work for me. I worked for him. It wasn't just one person that came back and reported to me that John Cleary didn't have body cam video. It was all of them. It wasn't just those 4 that knew that we openly discussed this case in my office with everyone. We openly talked about the evidence we had and the evidence that we didn't have. We discussed it with all of them, and I'm including every name that you've heard here. So when this video did surface, these people knew we didn't have that video. Now, I get it. Yeah, they can't come here and admit to that. They go to prison. It's that simple. But that's where we're at, okay? But don't blame my detectives. My detectives did what they thought they were supposed to be doing, which they had done a countless number of times. They went out there and they asked for they got with the supervisor and said, give me all the video. Shame on you if we can't trust you, and that's it.
And when you told Reeves about that you were asked to not provide evidence, what was his reaction?
It wasn't a reaction.
Okay. Did he say anything to you, or did he?
He was upset that his son was in the room.
Mr. Chair, just one question. The huge public relations nightmare that you talked about included for the governor in a re-election campaign, did it not?
I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you if I speculated that, absolutely I did, but I don't have any evidence to it.
I understand. Thank you very much.